Hey everybody, how's it going? All right, the time has finally come. The cat is out of the bag. It's all over the place. It's the hottest news lately. Halloween, the game. It is coming. We have an official announcement. We got a trailer recently. Everybody's talking about it. I decided to let it simmer for a couple of days because it was everywhere and I wanted to get a little more information on it before I started talking about it. But today we have some really cool news about it and I just want to talk about that a little bit with you guys. So let's get into it. All right, guys, so Halloween the game. So we first heard that this was going to happen approximately a year ago or so. I believe John Carpenter officially announced that he's going to be a part of this game back in September of 2024, I want to say. But it's been news that's been floating around for a long time. I was hoping to get some kind of an update on it. Turns out a few days before the big release, I got an email from the Halloween portal that said there was going to be, some big news coming. And part of me did think, are they going to say something about the game? And I thought, no, don't get your hopes up. Probably not, but whatever, just pay attention, right? So, sure enough, we got a Halloween the Game trailer. And after taking a look at it, I am so stoked for this game. It sounds amazing. So far, we don't have any gameplay just yet. This is all a trailer that's basically just cutscenes and whatnot, and a little taste of kind of what's to come. And it definitely looks fantastic. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there freaking out that gun is involved, and it's everywhere, and I know people are all upset about it and stuff. But let me first just say, I've been waiting my entire life for a Halloween game, okay? And by the time this thing comes out, I could be damn near 50 years old, which is crazy. I've had to wait that long for a Halloween game ever since I wanted one from the time I was a teenager, playing on a Sega or Nintendo or something. So for me, it really doesn't matter who is designing this game or making it. I was going to give it a shot and get it anyway. I'm a huge supporter of the franchise. It's probably my favorite franchise of all time. I know Nightmare brought me to my love of horror, but Halloween is probably my favorite franchise if I had to choose one. I mean, they have the King movie, the number one, and out of all those movies combined, when you got Friday, you got Nightmare, everything in there, I'd still have to give Halloween the number one spot. But, it goes without saying, I love all three of those franchises. It's really hard to pick a favorite. Like, I think Friday's still the most fun out of all of them. But Halloween is probably my favorite. It's the one I probably enjoy the very most. And finally getting a game is super exciting. Especially because I am a big fan of Friday the 13th, the game. I thought they did an awesome job with that. And I thought it could have been, probably one of the best horror games out there if it could have kept going. There was a lot of things that, never came to fruition because of that lawsuit. And really, that's ultimately why it died. And I know a lot of people just blame gun, but the reality is, when the lawsuit was going on, and there was no end in sight, and it just kept going, and they weren't allowed to even, as they put it, they couldn't even put a tree into one of the maps legally. That they decided they had to hit the brakes, get their people off of it, and get on to their new projects. They had to leave it behind. And once they did that, they committed to it, and they knew there was no way to just go back and just start working on it again if somehow it ended. Well, eventually it did end, and allegedly they got the green light that they could go back to it, but they had already moved on from the game, and their licensing was not going to be lasting for a whole lot longer anyway, so I'm sure that's why they didn't go back to it. That's it. I often think of hindsight, though. Had they known how popular it was going to be and how the other games that were hitting the market after that one sort of did, maybe they would have hung on to it a little longer. But, I don't fully blame Gunn in that situation. I think their hand was forced a little bit from a business perspective, I know a lot of people are flipping out about it, though, but I totally understand the frustration with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game, because that was a great game. We didn't even get 2 years out of it, really. It was more like a year and a half, and they just basically shut her down and said, okay, we're not doing anything with it anymore, which is kind of crazy. We wanted that to last, but I honestly don't see that happening with Halloween. And Gunn has only been involved for a little while, mind you. You know, they haven't been involved for a super long time. I believe it was Boss Team Games that were originally on board, and something happened there, and Gunn got involved, but it was more recently. But this game is more of Ilphonic's baby. And Ilphonic, you'll know the last game they did most recently, horror game anyway, would have been Killer Clowns from Outer Space. And I thought the game was a blast. It was super fun, but you know, I didn't play it as much. I didn't have a lot of friends on there playing it and stuff, so maybe it didn't take off as well as it could have. I found it was more of a niche game a little bit because it is Killer Clowns, which is, you know, like a cult classic, and it's popular in its own right, but you know, it's nothing like Halloween or Friday the 13th or something, so I knew it would be up against it. I feel like it's going to be that way a little bit for the upcoming Hellraiser game as well, because it's more of a really specific kind of horror. So I wonder about longevity with that game. Again, I don't know. It could be fantastic, but I don't really have any plans to get that one. But as I've said, I've waited my whole life for a Halloween game. I'm so excited for it. Okay, so recently Ilphonic gave an interview to BloodyDisgusting about the game and spilled some pretty cool details. Some that I liked and some that I didn't really like very much. And well, I'll start with that because it's a bummer to read. So it says, you might notice that the publicity for Halloween the game refers to Carpenter's movie in isolation, without ever broaching the subject of its sequels, requels, reboots, or remakes. That's because this tie-in is based exclusively on the first film alone, effectively disregarding the rest of the series' tangled continuity. So don't go expecting Corey Cunningham loadouts, Silver Shamrock cosmetics, or Rob Zombie Easter eggs popping up here. It's original recipe Halloween all the way. So to me that seems like John Carpenter for sure. I mean, he wants to keep it true to his original, he wants to keep it scary and serious, and I absolutely appreciate all of that, and that's what I want in the game for sure. But another part of me definitely wants to see the other Michael Myers that were in some of the other films. Like, I would love to play as, you know, the Dick Warlock version from the second film and have, you know, a hospital loadout. I would love to have the James Jude Courtney Michael Myers from 2018, Halloween Kills. I mean, even Ends. Like, it would be great to have those characters as loadouts. So hearing that was really disappointing, and, you know, especially the reference to Silver Shamrock novelties. Like, come on, I really wanted to see some of that stuff in there. That would have been awesome. So that part was really disappointing to me. But then he does go on to say this. But keeping it focused on the original film made the most sense to us. The lore is more straightforward. Michael is still young and spry. It just works. However, we're leaving it open to connect to the other train stations later down the line if we want to. We'll see what happens. So right there, that definitely gives me hope, because it sounds like they want to leave it Halloween and that's what we're going to do, and that's true to the original and doesn't mess it up with all these other storylines. I think they're going to have a lot of people playing it going, this game's awesome, it's all kinds of fun, we want more Myers, we want those other maps, we want you to throw that stuff in here. And they're going to hear it so much, I don't think they're really going to have a choice. They're going to be like, hell yeah, let's just do it, let's design some more skins, let's design another few maps, and we'll keep going. And this will be, you know, a machine of a horror game. We're really hoping it'll become something like that, you know, like something that's had staying power, like Dead by Daylight. Or I know that's mainly because of the licenses, because I was never big on that game personally, but I actually bought that game originally because of that Halloween pack that came out in 2017. When that was released, I was like, what is this, Dead by Daylight? And I bought it for that reason. That tells you a lot about the Halloween fandom, really. The people that are into it are going to buy it pretty much no matter what. That's why I was saying the true fans are not going to care nearly as much if Gunn is involved. Even though, like I said, they're not really involved that much. It's not going to be like other games, or they've been working on them forever. Like I said, they sort of became attached a little bit afterwards with it. So I really don't think we need to worry nearly as much as it's Ilphonic's baby. Like I was saying, they're really proud of this, and it sounds like it's going to be awesome. So there's been a little bit more news that's happened since, and one of the coolest things is from Adam Goldberg. So Adam F. Goldberg, yes, the same Adam F. Goldberg from the Goldbergs TV show that had Freddy on and had all these cool horror references and stuff, that grew up in my era and is definitely a fan. He was the guy that was writing this Halloween story, as well as others, but he's been working on it for the last year. And then he says this: if you loved the F-13 Jason game by Ilphonic as much as I did, then you will lose your mind at what we're doing with Michael Myers. And I hear that quote and I'm like, yes! Because I love Friday the 13th. I thought it was an absolutely awesome game. So I'm very excited to see where this is going. So a little bit more news. Halloween Movies had this to say about it as well. Ready for some concept art and more? There's been lots of speculation about the new Halloween game coming in 2026. No, it's not multiplayer only. Yes, there will be a single-player mode and a story mode. Yes, you'll be revisiting famous locations and reliving iconic Halloween moments. Check out some concept art from the Rabbit in Red Lounge and the outside of the Smiths Grove Sanitarium. It went on to say, step into the chilling world of John Carpenter's genre-defining film, now transformed into a suspenseful, one versus many stealth horror experience. Put on the iconic mask to become the ultimate slasher, Michael Myers, stalking and executing the citizens of Haddonfield one by one, or striving to thwart Michael Myers' plans as civilians determined to save the unaware townsfolk before it's too late. So very, very cool idea. Now, I believe the concept, from what I can tell, sounds like it's going to be sort of something that you can interact with. They said there's going to be, non-human bots that are going to be going around too, that obviously Michael can target and stuff. And I guess it's up to some of the players to try to warn them and save the town and stuff from you being able to pull off all these kills and whatnot. So it sounds pretty exciting that way. It's almost like a much smaller world Grand Theft Auto kind of layout. Or even if you're familiar with that old game way back on PS2, it was like a Jaws game, Jaws Unleashed. You remember when you're the shark? And it was kind of like you had missions, but you could also tread off like you can in Grand Theft Auto and go and do your own thing, and like just start eating people on the beach or grabbing people in the water and just doing crazy stuff like that. So I believe it's going to be something similar to that, where Michael's going to be able to do those things, and the multiplayer is going to be a 1v4. So it sounds like there's going to be 4 people that are out to stop Michael. Dr. Loomis is involved in it as well. I believe in the single player mode for sure. I would hope in the multiplayer mode as well, but very cool to have him there as well. Awesome picture of Smiths Grove Sanitarium. It looks gigantic in this picture, if you ask me, but really cool to see. It's just exciting. I'm really looking forward to seeing some actual gameplay, just to get an idea of what it's like. So that'll be exciting to see when it is finally available. I noticed the Rabbit in Red bar. It has a little bit of a feel like the Halloween Kills bar a bit, which I thought was also pretty cool. And like I said, I'm really looking forward to this. This I've been waiting for forever, But lastly, there was some really cool news that dropped that I found out about late yesterday, is that the one and only original shape, yes, Nick Castle, is going to be doing the mocap for this Michael Myers. And they included a few pictures online here of Nick in the suit doing his thing. Sean Clark also jumped on there, I know, and he actually wrote "Love it when rumors get squashed." And now that's a rumor that had been going around for a while that I'm sure he wanted to set straight, that Kane Hodder apparently was going to be playing Michael Myers in the video game, and I'm sure Sean's probably the kind of guy that would think that's rather absurd. I tend to agree, not because I don't love Kane. Kane is awesome. He's a tremendous stuntman, and he was a fantastic Jason. And he's got a lot of mocap experience, so I totally get that. And he did say he was working with Gunn and Elphonic on a franchise, and I thought it was a big one and one that he was proud to be a part of. And I thought, okay, well, is that Halloween? Because what else would it be, right? And then I thought, well, maybe he's doing some certain kill sequences, or maybe there's a few stunt scenes that he's, able to do that perhaps Nick can't. But it definitely was confirmed that Nick is the guy in the mocap suit doing the Michael Myers stuff for this game. So, I mean, I couldn't be more thrilled with that. That is awesome. I was hoping, they would also get someone like James in there and have James Jude Courtney doing all the movements. Right? I mean, how cool would it be to have James Jude Courtney doing all the movements for an H40, 2018 skin Michael Myers? Like, who doesn't want that, right? I really hope they, connect to those train stations, as they put it, and they go ahead and do more maps and do more skins, because it sounds like the idea is, we don't need to do that, and we're confident in it. And then they said, well, maybe if we want, though, we're leaving the door open. Well, I'm saying right now, you're going to get enough pressure and everything that you're going to want to, for sure, because so many fans are going to be saying, okay, cool, you got to add some other skins too, though. It'd be amazing. And people are going to pay money for them and all the rest of it. So I think it's definitely an avenue they're going to have to explore, or they're going to be faced with exploring. Whether or not they take the plunge or not, that remains to be seen. I certainly hope they do, because, like I said, I'll be first in line for that. I'll be pre-ordering it the second it comes up for any kind of a pre-order. Like I said, I've been looking forward to this game forever, so I'm just thankful it's finally coming out and I'm going to be able to play it. It's been a lifetime for me. I always thought it would make a really cool game, and ever since Friday dropped in 2017 and you could see the cool stuff that they could do, I thought, oh, the possibilities. I need Michael Myers. I need, a Scream game with a similar concept. I need a Nightmare on Elm Street game with a similar concept. But I know those ones aren't quite as feasible right now. Well, Scream would be. Scream is certainly popular enough. I could see that happening in the not-too-distant future, especially if this is successful, which I think it's going to be. Yes, mark my words, it's August of 2025, and this stuff just recently came out, the news. And I'm saying right now, I think it's going to be an extremely successful game, and it's going to last a long time. That's just my gut feeling on it. So I'm not worried about Gunn or any of that stuff. I'm not worried about Elphonic, and they have always made some pretty cool games, so sounds super, super exciting, and I'm looking forward to it more than any other game, I think. So it's going to be a long wait and exciting. I am guessing it's probably going to be the better part of a year before we see it. It would be great if it came out, early 2026, but I somehow don't think that's going to happen. I think they'll probably try to hype maybe the fall season and Halloween and stuff. It would kind of make sense, and also give them more time to polish things and make things perfect. Maybe try out a beta or something. So I doubt anything's going to happen before next summer, and we may see it release, by the fall in time for the Halloween season. I think that's probably realistic to think. So I'm not going to get my hopes up about it coming out early, but that would be amazing. I'm just glad it's finally happening. So very, very cool news. Anyway, in the meantime, I got a lot of information from the guys over at Slash and Cast. I've been following them for years and years since I pretty much got into the Friday the 13th game. I guess it's 8 years ago now, 2017. But, they have a fantastic channel. They've done fan films. They've worked for, gaming companies and stuff as well, and they always have the best new news, and they dive deep on it, and they will be covering it nonstop. So I highly recommend them if you're looking for up-to-date news on this new Halloween the game. But anyway, I will put their information in the description of this video just in case you aren't already subscribing and you want the latest news on the game, because they will definitely be covering it. Alright guys, well that's pretty much it for the update for now. I know I don't cover a ton of video games and do all that kind of stuff, but like I said, been waiting for this game my whole life. I do like to game in my spare time when I can. Don't have a lot of spare time. But very excited for this game, and I just wanted to talk about it and get it out there. I know there's many channels that have covered this already, and many in more great detail. And I'll do what I can to certainly update on some things here and there. If I hear any cool features that are worth talking about and stuff, I will certainly cover them as well. My next video, I have some pickups to show you guys. 4K wise, stuff like that. I also have some cool stuff that'll be coming in fairly soon, so I will be working on that next in the not too distant future. So hopefully we'll see you for a new video again real soon. So you guys take care, and thanks so much for watching.